I think it's really better than I am said. Hello and welcome back, and thanks for joining me on another episode. So today we're gonna make some ceiling installations, and so we're going to be either making, you can call them like paper mobiles or paper chandeliers. These are the materials that I have. I have some sort of cutting materials. I have the two different papers that we're gonna use, some scissors, a circular cutter. I have some fishing wire. I got some small little needles, and then I have some like foam just to tack it in. And then we're also going to need whatever we're gonna suspend our chandeliers from. So in our case, we're using these brass squares that we've been using before. We're gonna use the same colors that we've been using for the spring decor. So we're gonna use the sort of pinkish, tannish, and then the navy blue. If you own the house and you feel comfortable drilling into the ceiling, you can do that to hang things from. We're gonna just be using command strips because that's what we have to use in our rented apartment. I know there's probably multiple different techniques. I know you could also use like some embroidery hoops if you have that. You could also make it out of cardboard, or you could hang these straight into the ceiling as well if you want. You could also create like a mount off the wall and kind of hang them down as well if you wanted to do this more of a wall accent instead of a hanging ceiling accent. I don't think it'll be too difficult. It may take a little bit of time. We're gonna start by hole punching a bunch of circles, and we're gonna kind of string them together. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I cut out the circles for the paper strands. So I'm gonna use two colors. I'm gonna use the blue, and I'm also gonna use the pink. I also have my little cutter, and I also have my trusty little 2-inch circle punch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these pieces of paper evenly into 4 pieces. So that would be this mark 2 and what, 1/8. So I go ahead and take my strip, and since this is only 2 1/8 wide and my hole punch is 2 inches, it's gonna be like a really tight fit. Like normally you're supposed to like keep it down and like mystery punch it, but since it's like really tight, I'll look at the front and then pop it through. And a little note, like, it's kind of hard to pop sometimes, and one time I got like my finger jammed in here and I like pinched it in there, and like, let me tell you, like, it's not fun. So just, you know, just safety first. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut lots more out, and then I'll show you what I've been doing. Now I'm gonna sort of go ahead and show you how I make the paper strands. So I have one strand here. I'm making them 20 paper strands long. I'm cutting my fishing wire about 36 inches, and you'll need to double it. So it'll be 36 one way and then 36 again. You can always do a little extra. I'm gonna go ahead and loop the needle into the fishing wire, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna gather the 2 ends of the fishing wire, and then I'm gonna go ahead and knot those. Now we have this needle on the end, and it's sort of secure and stuck in there, so that way it'll be as easy as possible, so that way we won't have to be restringing or anything. I have this sort of foam, just that way I'm able to dig into it a bit easier. You could use some like scrap cardboard, or you could stack some paper, or it would work into this mat. I just like the foam. It makes the needle go down a bit easier. I'm gonna start with just one. So to just eye the center, and then you kind of put it in and string it down, and it should hold it like that. What I'm going to do now is sort of take this fishing wire, and I'll do about 4 at a time. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to knot the strings around themselves. Every 2 fingers, I tie a knot. It doesn't have to be exact, because since we're gonna do a multitude of different paper strands together, they won't all have to be exact, and you won't actually want them all exact, so that way there's a little bit of variance in strands. So once I have my 4 knots tied, I will go ahead and I'll double these up. I'll do 2 at a time, hook them in the center. All right, and then once I've got them strung on, I will just have to take them 1 at a time and sort of bump them over the knot that I've made. So there's 1, there's 2, and there we go. And now we have the start of our paper strand. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a bunch of these paper strands out of both the pink and the blue, and we're gonna kind of take it from there. All right, so behind me I have this sort of structure that I built that will suspend the brass squares, so that way I'll be able to hang the paper strands from it. All right, so I have lots of the paper strands done, and so I'm gonna show you how I attach them onto the square. So I've made this structure, I kind of just made it high enough so that way it's work level for me. Then I just have this wood across, and then I'm gonna attach this square onto these binder clips that I have. And I'm just gonna kind of attach it with some just like scrap yarn. All right, so now that I have this on here sort of floating, I can just take a paper strand and tie it on. A little trick for when attaching them is to loop it. Loop the fishing wire once. Just that way it gives it something more to cling on to, because sometimes when you just put the fishing wire around once, it could slip or it'll move more easily. So once I loop it around, I tie it once, and then since I have 2 strands of fishing wire, I unattach them and then I tie them together to really secure it in place. Then I just snip it with some scissors, the excess. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 5 on each side. So I'm gonna put 1 on the corners, put 1 in the middle, and then in between. Putting 5, 5, 5, and 5, since the edges are all shared, it's really only 16. So it's like 4, 4, 4, and 4. Some of them are gonna be slightly different lengths, just due to where we knotted, and that's great. The height variance I think will be really good. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just finish tying all these on. All right, so here it is, all finished. I'm gonna go ahead and snip it down. All right, so here's what it is. And I think I'm gonna maybe hang it something like this at a little bit of an angle, just to give a little bit more dimension, and then also so it doesn't take up too much space as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and make 2 pink ones and 1 blue one, and then we'll go ahead and hang them up. All right, here is the finished installation. I think it actually turned out better than I expected. The way the brass squares are angled, I think it really allows for a lot of dimension. It's really something that I haven't seen before. And I think having the dark blue in the back really helps give some depth, have the darker in the back and the lighter pink ones up front. I think the strands, doing the individual strands, definitely took a lot longer than I expected. Like, they definitely took a long time, why this video is a little late. When I was tying them on, I noticed that some of them moved a little bit, and especially where I would attach, like right here, how I attached some fishing wire up to the ceiling. And so what I did is I put a little piece of transparent tape, and I just put it like on each side of the string, just so that way it wouldn't move or slide around. But what's great about them is that they're light, so I am able to hang them with command strips. So I think it's something really fun. I think it's something that's really cheap. It's just paper and fishing wire and some sort of hoop to attach it to. And so I think that this is something that you could definitely make at home. You could do it like as a chandelier, you could do it as sort of what we're doing just in the corner to kind of draw a little of attention, add some color. And so I think it's a very versatile sort of decoration. You could make it your own as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.